Man, it's some real stuff here, cuz, man. I'm telling you, bro. Man, I love it, man. Just want to tell you, bro, you're inspiring a lot of people, man. This real talk, man. And just want to tell you, I love you, man. Keep up the good work, man. But you always had that click, man. You and your partners, bro, you always been the coolest thing since sliced bread, you heard me? But I tell you what, cuz, man, I love it, bro. I can't stop listening to you, man. I can't stop listening to you, bro. I respect it, man. I love it, bro. I'm listening to it right now. I'm on the second episode. They like an hour long, but I ain't gonna stop listening till I fall asleep.
What up? It's Three Brothers No Sense. I'm Tavares Ferguson, a.k.a. Ferg, joined with my co-hosts Buff and Razi. Fellas, tell them what's on your mind.
Man, I just wish the listeners could have heard the pre-talk before we started recording, man, because we had so much fun. You ain't lying. Well, we about to gain some, I'm with it. You know what I'm saying? But I just want to tell the people, we frequently said I do a different podcast called Politically Entertaining. I just want to tell people elections matter. And we're definitely seeing it with the administration, but we're definitely seeing it in the state of Florida. They had a governor election, what was that, last year? Very close. Andrew Gillum lost narrowly. And I don't live in Florida. I don't know how they're feeling right now, but from the outside looking in, if I was in Florida, I would want a redo. Like, if you voted for DeSantis, I don't know how you can comfortably sit there in that state and say, man, you know what? I was wrong. Let's get Andrew. I don't know where he is right now. I know he had the little controversy, but he need to come on out and take over, because that dude, DeSantis, is an idiot. There's no other way to put it, dog. The way he's handled it, and just he's been wrong on every turn on this virus. And I get it. It's a new virus. You're going to be wrong from time to time. But when the evidence was smacking him dab in the face, they was telling him, hey, in a few weeks, if you keep going like this, your state is going to be like New York. He vehemently denied it and said, no, it's not. No, it's not. And look what Florida is. Miami, they said, is at Wuhan levels. Wuhan is where the goddamn virus started. That's what level they're at right now. So again, I'm just, I know sometimes people say, voting doesn't matter. All politicians are the same. Bull bleep. Because if you in Florida right now, like I say, I would want to redo. That's just me. I'm not living there. Maybe I'm wrong. People in Florida, y'all holler at us if you disagree. But DeSantis is an idiot.
Man, you gotta pray for the whole South, because
oh yeah,
over in Georgia, is suing my girl Keisha Lance Bottoms because she said we need to have masks on in Atlanta, the most populous city in Georgia. He's like, nope.
How dare you go That's against me?
And I said,
that's exactly what he said.
That's really what it is. Like, I don't understand it, man. Like, in the Army, we have a saying, you can add to but can't take away from the reg. So my thing is, if she's adding to the reg, if you said they ain't got to do it, but she's saying you do, that is not going against you. That's just adding to what you said.
Well,
so, but he put in, they put in there that in his executive order that the cities couldn't go more or add to whatever he said. That right there is a huge power grab at the state capitol too. So
that was another narrow election, and I don't even know necessarily if Georgia really elected him, because he was in the office that was in charge of counting the votes, running for an office that counted the votes that he was in. So I don't even know if that should have been allowed. I think if you are the Secretary of State and you're running for governor, you need to resign from that office. There's no way you should be in charge of counting the votes that you're running for.
Yeah, agreed. But I will shout out Alabama. Kay Ivey actually made a good decision, and she extended our safer at home and added masks. so there's a mask requirements. She's actually been banned from a couple of restaurants because she put the mask order in place.
Just so you don't, I'm not going to allow us to just think stupidity is an American thing, because you have the president of Brazil, who's usually pretty good at handling health crisis. They're just as bad, because the president Bolsonaro is just, when I was listening to the TED Talk the other day, if you just bleep out his name, you could have swore they were talking about Trump. Like, this dude has replaced, I want to say 2 or 3 health ministers, because they wouldn't really sign off on his idea about the mask and what's the pills that Trump and everybody's saying is the
hydrochloro something, whatever it is. Yeah.
So they wouldn't sign off on it. So he kept firing people, and finally got this military general as a health minister who finally signed off, I guess, as an act of good faith. Convenient that a general would sign off on what the president wanted him to do. Doesn't that just work wonders? And I'm like, dude, if you listen to what this dude is saying, you're like, man, we thought Trump was the only one. So it's not just, it's just not us.
It's not just him, because Canada wouldn't even meet with Trump and the president of Mexico, because he's like, both of y'all are idiots, and so I ain't bringing that here.
Makes sense. He wouldn't have a mask, anything. He was.
Oh, and one last thing before Razi takes it. Congratulations, Ms Dillihay. That was our physical ed teacher back when we was in high school. She won an election to be. You know what office it is? It's like the school board.
It's school board like committee or council. Yeah, she's on the school board council. Yeah. So I think it's place 4 or something like that. So congrats to you.
Yeah, them Rattlers stay doing big things.
Proud of you. She deserves it too, because she loves the kids. So
she does. She really
all right,
does.
Razi, what you got for us, man?
So just a couple things. One, I want to shout out new movie on Netflix called The Old Guard.
Dope. So, you stole my thunder.
Yeah. Old Guard is it's really, really good. So for the listeners out there, if you like sci-fi action, anything like that, it's pretty cool. So go out, check that out. The other thing is, man, this is one time that I am excited that we are not verified on Twitter, because all the Twitter verified accounts got hacked. So they got my president, man. I ain't like that one too much.
They got Trump.
Anonymous, whoever did it.
You know who you talking about.
No, they got my president.
You know who you talking about, man. He trolling.
So, Anonymous, y'all need to be a little bit more careful, whoever actually did it. But we don't play with Obama. Y'all need to stop that one.
Yeah, that was crazy, man. They trolled everybody. They got everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
but that's all I got, man.
Well,
No, I'll save it to the end of the show.
Since you talked about The Old Guard, which I'm very excited about, I might probably rewatch it, and it's one of those movies it's about to have like probably a trilogy or something like that. Have you read the books or anything?
No, I didn't even know it was a book. I probably will. It's
based off of some books. I got to check it out. But actually in the middle of this movie called The Circle with Tom Hanks. Have you guys seen that?
I haven't.
It's on Amazon Prime. Kind of weird to explain. Basically, it's I won't even say futuristic. It's based in like today's world, where social media and the internet are really trying to take their place, where we talk about all this privacy laws and stuff like that, antitrust. Basically, there's a young lady, Emma Watson, plays a chick named May, and she works for this big social media, Amazon meet Google meet Facebook. And basically they're trying to turn this, it's called The Circle, where they're trying to make this one platform that they just envelop everything in. And it's crazy how far-fetched some of these ideas are. But when you look at them, like, yeah, I could really see this happening. So they have Emma Watson, Tom Hanks, what's the dude, the black dude, I can't think of his name, Boyega.
John Boyega.
He's in it. So they have an all-star cast, dude. And it's pretty good. So I'm gonna finish watching it. If you get a chance, The Circle, I didn't do it justice, but we're kind of in the middle of it, and it's just like, wow, this is pretty good. So since we're talking about movies and keeping it light so far, anything else, fellas, before we give the people what they want?
That's it for me.
All right. Also, Razi, it was a pleasure having you down this week. It's not often that we get to see people, period. You know, just to have a weekend with one of my closest friends and just getting away and having some fun. We got to go fishing. So if you guys are looking for something to do and you're near water, getting a couple of people together and fishing is, I think, almost one of the safest social distancing events I can think of and still be extremely enjoyable and get some air.
Yeah, definitely. Appreciate all the hospitality. Hutch, Fred, Al, appreciate you guys, all the ladies, for cooking that little bit of fish that we did get. It was a rough catch. But appreciate that. Appreciate everybody just welcoming me into you guys COVID circle for the weekend. So I appreciate that.
No problem, man. We appreciate you being there. But with that being said, man, let's go ahead and make this quick and go ahead and pay some bills.
Lowe's knows that free is just better. That's why MyLowe's Rewards is free to join. As a member, you earn points towards MyLowe's money on eligible purchases, get exclusive free gifts, and earn free shipping at Silver Key status, all on top of weekly member-only deals. Don't wait. Join MyLowe's Rewards for free today and start saving more. Lowe's, we help, you save. Loyalty program subject to terms and conditions. Details at lowes.com/terms. Subject to change.
Hey, Sophie.
Hey, Sophie.
Hello.
What's good?
Nothing.
You like our favorite part of the show?
No.
We might have three brothers and a little sister. You want to change it to that? The name of the show?
Yay!
Love it.
Ollie's also there. He helps my dad upload the videos.
Okay, so he's working behind the scenes. But you're the star of the show.
Yeah.
So I'm going to bring us back in. All right, people, we're back. And of course, we have the star of the show, everybody's favorite little sister of the three brothers. We have Sophie. Take it away, Sophie.
I'm already laughing.
Okay. Why is a math book always unhappy?
Why is a math book always unhappy?
Yes.
Give it to me, Sophie. I got nothing. What's the answer?
It has so many problems.
Thank you for that one.
That was a good one. I'm sitting there really trying to think. I'm like, minus, nope. They have times, nope.
I was thinking like subtraction or something like that.
I have nothing.
Nice.
I appreciate that. So that was one of the best ones yet. Appreciate that.
Man, I when I tell you, she literally like watches videos and everything. When she gets a good one, she comes in and writes it down and like just sticks it next to my computer. And she's like, got that one. That's next week's.
Have you ever seen Dion Cole do stand up when he does that, has a little notebook?
Yeah. That was not gonna work.
Nope. Y'all like that? Good. All right. So that's what I think when I see Sophie. She's a future Dion Cole in the making. And she got her start here. So if she makes it big in comedy, like Yvonne Orji was also another great stand-up comedian, I guess, co-star of, what's the show? Insecure. She has a pretty good stand-up. I don't know if you guys have seen it. Razi saw it Friday night.
The big girl?
No, her best friend or ex-best friend or whatever they're doing these days.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, from Nigeria.
Virgin.
Yes, Ferg. Yeah, but she's pretty funny, dude. And when she talks about Nigeria and her family, dude, she has me cracking up. But that's also because I'm in Houston.
What's the name of her special?
Mama, I Made It.
Okay, I'll check it out then.
Well, I'm going to open up my question with a question. So, I guess it still might be a little light. What are the favorite sayings of people to prove that they're not racist? What are the things they always say?
I have a black friend.
Yeah, that's the one I was gonna go with. That's the one.
Yeah.
That's the one John Rocker used.
Yeah, or
no, he said
what's the other one?
I had black people in my house before.
yeah. I'm the least racist person you know.
Well, that's your president right there.
well, you were right with the first one. So ding, ding, ding. So, and I'll elaborate on my answer or why I'm asking this question a little later. But have you guys ever considered that you might be the black friend? Have you ever thought about that?
The black friend to the alleged racist?
Yes. You are their scapegoat. They are talking about Buff. They're talking about Razi when they're talking about their black friend or their black coworker.
Yeah, I can definitely see that because, I mean, working in a very conservative industry in banking, you know, above you in law enforcement, I mean, those types of industries are ones that, you know, it's, I'm pretty sure when they say I have a black friend, they're talking about a black work friend, and that's me. I'm nice.
So I want you to think about that. But my question is, if you are the black friend, what is that real relationship, and what is your duty as that black friend to help teach them? For one, never to say shit like I have black friends. Like what should we be doing? We have their ear. We're their template for blackness. Do we have a duty to say, hey, since I'm your black friend, let me teach you about what you need to know about black people or the black plight or how you can help? So
people who use that, we're not their friend. Oh, that's the issue, is that they're using I have a black friend very, very loosely when they say that. Seeing me on the street, being my neighbor, me saying, hey, when I drive by or when we walk down the street, in their mind, I have a black friend. But we know that we're not friends. Like when we say I have a black friend, I know your mom and them. Like, you know, when we say friends, I know about you for real. Like we talk about stuff outside of just work or normal kind of banter. And, you know, if they haven't come to me during this whole, you know, Black Lives Matter and social injustice unrest and talk to me about it, they should never use me in that I have a black friend perspective, because, you know, obviously I'm not your friend if you haven't come to me and checked on me in this time. So that's my thing, is I think they're just using I have a friend way too loosely. So for me, I don't feel like I have a responsibility to educate them because I don't have the energy to. That's really what it comes down to. I can't disturb my peace trying to explain to every white
we're just talking about your white friends, right? We're just talking about your white friends, not just every white person.
Even my white associates, because my white friends, I don't have to explain that. My white friends, I feel like understand, and they would never use that I have black friends, because they're not saying stuff that would get them into the situation where they have to say I have black friends. You don't think they
never said that shit? You never thought they got them out of trouble?
No, I don't think so. The white people that I really feel like I consider that I am friends with, no, I don't think they would ever say anything that would need that response to be able to defend themselves, that I have black friends.
Okay. Buff, what you got for me?
I want to echo a lot of what Orazio said, except I kind of veer off from him. So the so-called educate them, first off, I want to double down on the fact that I don't consider those people friends. Like they use it,
but you're their friend, Buff. They don't care about you being their friend.
That's fine. If they want to consider me a friend, that's fine. They're not my friend. But when we have, the reason why they think we're friends is because we obviously have frequent conversations, and from time to time it may veer into the racial landscape. And so what I will do is, when we're having a conversation, I will let them know when they're wrong. I've had conversations with co-workers on why I think Ronald Reagan was the worst president we've ever had in the history of America, including Trump. I've had conversations. I had one guy who, you know, I guess based on the conversations we had, he gave me he took the time, you're not going to believe this, he took the time and typed up like this 8-page thing on where he found all these stories about how black people had committed racist crimes against white people. And you know how people say, I got time today? I had time that day. I went through each story, researched it. None of them were based on racism. And a couple of them, it wasn't even black perpetrators. It was white people. He just assumed they were black. So I handed it back to him with like all my notes. I had like red market stuff. See, you can look here and see that that's not true. And I gave it back to him.
You had citations? And everything?
When I said I had time, bro. So
Miss Molly would be proud of you, bro.
I will do that because I'll tell you a very, very quick story, and I learned a lesson. Sometimes he listened to the show. My book club member, Corey Cumberlander, he called me out on this one time. This was during the Trayvon Martin thing. And they had showed, and I have this thing to where if I don't feel like debating, I will pretty much let you get away with whatever you say because I just don't have the energy. I don't care. I don't care to correct you. I don't know you. I don't talk to you. So we was like in this small little break room and they showed like a young picture of Trayvon Martin. And this white chick was like, but he doesn't look like that. He's not, he was much older than that picture. He was much bigger. And, you know, my coworker expected me to say something and I just let it go. Like, I didn't feel like engaging her. Like, at the end of the day, he was minding his own business. George Zimmerman should have minded his own and both would have been fine. And ever since then, I try not to let stuff slide. So if I hear something, I'm going to attack it and correct it. But that's pretty much that and just everything else Razi said. That's what I will do for the so-called Byron is my friend, those type of people. When we have those conversations, I'm going to put out the facts. I'm going to lay it out there for them.
So you do have a few people that, you know, they might not necessarily be your friend, but it's at least a white associate that tries to engage in dialogue, you know, whether right or wrong.
Yeah.
And okay. But you do feel the need to like, hey, let me stop you right here. Let me tell you why you need to, not necessarily wrong, but you need to do some more research and look beyond what you think you know.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. Now that I will. When I say I don't feel like I need to teach them, is I'm not going to bring it up. Like I'm not going to start that conversation. But yeah, if they come left, if we're sitting around and they bring up Trayvon or they want to talk about George Floyd and try to talk about how he was resistant or something like that, I'm stopping it right there because that makes no sense. I mean, Ferg, we were on the fishing trip and old buddy, the fishing guy was just like, man, I hate that they're messing up all these monuments and that makes no sense. And like, man, if there were crickets on the boat, like you would have heard the crickets because everybody looked at each other and we were like, is he really trying to go there? And so, he changed the subject real quick and kind of backpedaled from it.
He took his precious time. He didn't get it off. He didn't Nope. He didn't, Razi. And you kind of segued me into my answer. That's kind of the reason I answer this because
I've had a similar experience.
Because he was going on, it's like he pretty much almost said like, not good boys like you, like. We were the exceptional niggas.
Didn't he use the I have black friends? Yeah, because he was telling us how he was his best friend's black.
What do you guys? Because he's like, what do you guys do? We're like, oh, I'm in banking and HR. I'm in sales. I'm an engineer. I'm in finance. It was just like everybody was doing their thing, and it's like, oh, y'all some uppity Negroes. You done booked out this fishing trip, and so. We weren't the black people that he was talking about. And so he kept fishing for straws and stuff like that. He was looking for a friend because he started talking about monuments as a whole. Then he started kind of stretching it when he was talking about the 9/11 monument. And it's like, haven't heard about that one yet, but pretty much call us the exceptional Negroes, the Negroes. And then he talked about him being in his black friend's wedding, all 4 times, Razi? Yeah, like he was looking for a way to connect, and we're kind of like, nah, we're just gonna catch these fish, and you just work for us and keep steering his boat. And after maybe 5 minutes of trying, and maybe it wasn't that long, it seemed like that long, about probably 2 to 3 minutes of trying, it was like nobody really responded because we're vacationing. But that's what made me ask this question. Like, what if his black friend knew he I'm not saying the dude was racist. He seemed cool, even though he kept trying. What did he say? Did we know A$AP Rock? Y'all listen to A$AP Rock? We're sitting listening to, we're all old. We're listening to 90s hip hop and all this kind of shit, early 2000 hip hop. And he's like, A$AP Rock? Can we play a little of that? Like, I guess, your boat,
We played like 2 songs. We're like, all right, back to Biggie.
Is that the rapper that Trump freed?
It is.
Okay. That's probably why you know him then. Yeah.
Touche. So I didn't even think about that. And Trump probably called him A$AP Rock. And so that's where
I think he did, yo. I think he did mess up his name.
That's probably where he got it from. So it was just very awkward. And it was just like, not for me, it was kind of like, I felt bad for him being like, I feel like at one point he tried to keep proving himself. Like, he was talking about his degrees and the stuff he has on the side. And we're like, that's good, dude. We just fishing.
To piggy.
We about to say?
I was going to say, to piggyback on your question, Ferg, I just want to say, if you do have so-called, white friends or whatever, don't let them get away with saying nigga. That's not cool. Don't let them. And I want to shout out another book club member of mine, Ty Bond. We got a coworker. So at my job, we affectionately call other black people Tom. That's what we do. That's like our N-word. We say, hey, Tom. You know what I'm saying? But I guess this white coworker felt comfortable enough to where he started doing it.
He can't say the T-word?
Yeah, he can't. And Bond called him out. He said, hey, man, what did you just say? He's like, listen.
I said, Tom.
Hey, he said, hey, man, no. He broke it down on why he shouldn't be saying it. And that just reminded me of how many, I think sometimes black people have white friends that allow them to use that N-word freely. And he cool, man. He don't mean nothing by it. He ain't racist. He one of the good ones. No. In my opinion, no, don't let them say it at all.
Agreed. But I think what made me ask the question was the fact that, like, this dude really had a freaking soliloquy on why he wasn't racist and why his black friend, he was in 4 of his weddings and all this stuff and had to wear a platinum and purple suit and all this stuff. And like, it was just like he had this whole story. And we're like, dog, just let it go. But what if his friend knew he was the black friend and that he's using him? And it's like, my first duty as your black friend is to say, never tell people you have a black friend. Like, that's like rule number 1.
And that's what I was going to say, that clearly their black friend hasn't corrected them. Yeah. And that's why they're so comfortable saying that kind of stuff.
But think about it, the black friend might not know they're their scapegoat. Yeah. Think about it. There's people who think we're their black friend. I'm pretty sure there's somebody, I was talking to my black friend the other day and we were talking about Obama, and like, there's people that think that they have that conversation with us and we're cool and they have some good conversations and they'll talk about how much they like, this candidate or stuff like that. And we can have light banter. And when it comes to black issues or issues of race and they want to prove that they're in, they might use you guys as a scapegoat. And it's like weird. And then even further, like the people that truly have friends that might be trying to help, is like, are there things that we need to be telling them? Like, is there things that they need to know, they need to understand? Because I think a lot of people just don't believe the reality of what it is to be black in America. Sad to say, I think recent events have highlighted the black plight even more. What it is to be, the fear and the things that we really deal with in the community that can go unchecked and may still go unpunished. I think they're starting to really, really see it and believe it. So I'm done with my question, fellas, but I don't know, man. I don't know if you're the black friend or not, but you probably are.
Probably are. Like I said, I'm sure some associates have used me or they thought of me when they said I have a black friend. Because I mean, like I said, I'm nice because we're cordial. I can talk and I know how to debate and understand differences of opinion. So I'm not going to get mad or, again, let anybody disturb my peace if they think a different way. I'm just going to avoid you in that situation. I can be cordial with you and talk to you, hey, Bob, as I go by in the office, but that's it.
Bob. And you're approachable. You're approachable.
Yeah.
So you're the exemplary.
To any of my white friends out there, again, if you ever find yourself in a situation where you feel like you need to use that as a defense that I have black friends, you have gone straight way too far into right-wing territory that you feel like you need to use that defense.
Yeah.
That's a great point.
Don't say I have black friends. If you think that you need to use that, you need to ask the person you're talking to, all right, what did I just say? Because I feel like I need to defend myself. Like, don't even. That's
it right there. You're like, yeah, you know what?
I feel like I need to defend myself.
I did something. Let's back it up. This is going in the wrong direction.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
When I talked to my black friend, he told me if I ever felt the need to use this, then I've done something wrong. Am I not invited to the cookout anymore? So
exactly. But like what? But because that, like you talked about, that's how the conversation happens, and we can get past it. So if you do want to really understand what black people are feeling, or minority, I'm not even gonna say black people, minorities are feeling. When you get to the point where you're feeling that way, you need to ask, what did you do? What did you say? And really sit back and listen to what they're saying. Because the problem so often is that you're trying to defend yourself instead of really and rebut what the person's saying. And you're trying to undermine what they're saying when they say that what you did is racist. Because I've said it a couple times on here. The only person that can tell you how it affects them is the affected person. You can't tell somebody how something makes them feel. So if a black person is like, yo, that's racist. If a Native American says that's racist, if an Asian American or Asian says what you're saying is racist, if Asians say Wuhan virus is racist, it's racist because they feel some type of way when you say it. So, because when we say cracker, we know it's racist. We mean it to be racist. So let's throw it out there. If we say cracker, we meant it to be racist. Just like we know if you slip the N-word out, you meant it to be racist. You might have said it when you got mad and you don't say it all day long and all the time. But when you say the N-word, you meant it, and you meant it to be racist. So don't try to clean it up after.
Hey, Razi, if they're singing their favorite rap song, is it okay for them to say the N-word then?
I think we've had that one. We talked about that. For me, depending on the person and everything, I don't see a problem with it.
It's a no for me.
If they're singing a rap song,
no, it's a no.
and it comes out.
No, you censor yourself. You pretend you are MTV or VH1. You censor yourself if you're around me. Don't say the N-word. No.
Yeah,
we have to do it every day.
Because you don't even like Latinos to use it, right?
Nope.
Like you won't even let Fat Joe use it.
Nope. J-Lo, she used that shit now. Hey,
Hilarious.
It's on you, big dog.
All right, so I'll go around these same lines. Then I was looking at one of the hashtag being professional as black or something like that, and people were talking about being black it was black in academia. That's what it was. So black in academia, they were talking about going to conferences and stuff like that and being one of 3 or 4 black people at the conference and automatically looking for the black person and going to sit by them or just trying to find somebody that you click with. And I thought about it even from, and I know I have a lot of ALI listeners in that group, and I didn't even think about it, but thinking back on it now, I did it naturally there too. You know, it's like you just kind of click up and you do it. So my question to you guys is, when you go into new spaces or new areas, or you find a new job or new anything where there's going to be a group of people, do you look for the other black person? Do you just kind of give them the nod and y'all acknowledge each other? Or do you like actually just go sit by them and be like, yep, you my conference buddy. Boom, what's up? Like,
So I remember doing this all the way back as a kid. Like I went, me and Ferg both went to Phillips, and that's just how you chose your lunch table. You have your tray of food, you look around, that table got the most black people, you go sit there. Now I'm at the age, I'm definitely going to give it a head nod. I may or may not, intentionally sit near them, but it's definitely going to be some type of acknowledgement, man. It's just it's almost like a comfort level, man, when you see someone that looks like you, because we said it before on the show, we're only 13% of this country, man. So there's a lot of places we're not at. So when we see each other, man, we got to show a little love, man. So that's pretty much, what I do, man. Like I'm happy, especially like if it's a room full of 40 and like 35 are white and you and 4 other people are black. Oh, hell yeah. You definitely gonna find a way to sit near them, give them the head nod or something, man. Where y'all going to lunch at? You know what I'm saying? Right. So no doubt, bro. No doubt.
Yeah, I feel you. But I think the good thing about me, and this is going to bring in HBCUs at some point, is I think growing up, especially in Dallas and then moving to Phillips, back to Mobile and going to Phillips and LaFleur and all, finally making the fam, I feel comfortable in all situations. So I've been the black kid in most situations for so long. Even when I first got to Phillips, like my freshman in 6th grade, I was cool with both black and white. Like, I don't know. Do you remember Ann Barker, Byron?
Sounds familiar. Yeah.
Like, she's one of the white girls. She stayed. I forgot where she stayed. But I remember last day of school, 6th grade, I got invited to her house for a last day of school party. So we were in her guest house. But like, we were in her guest house, and I think I was the only black kid that either got invited or came. I think it might have been Leslie Yates or Sandy were invited, but they didn't come. So it ended up being me. Like, I was just I was okay with being with white kids and around white people. So it didn't really bother me. And I say that because I think most black people are okay. Because like we're always the minority in the long run, we learn how to deal with being in the white world. And so a lot of times people want to bash HBCUs because like it doesn't prepare you for the real world. You're not going to go to a professional world and everybody's going to be black. Like, yeah, but I grew up for the last 18 years and the rest of my life I'm going to be around. I'm going to be the minority. So if I have a 4-year period to kind of be the majority, I'm going to enjoy it. So once again, a plug for HBCUs. But it depends on the environment for work because I know I'm being watched. Like, I don't want to. And maybe that's a strategic move I make, but like, I don't want to be the typical, like, you see all the black people are gathered together. Interesting. Like, I want to be able to say like, okay, Tavares is sitting by me today, or he's sitting by this person, or he's like, hey, he's able to move around the room. And that's what helped me get promoted. That's what helped me. I was okay going against the grain, but still, I'm going to acknowledge you. I'm going to give you the head nod. Like, if we have a break every, call it hour. So this hour, I'm going to holler at Buff and Razi. Like the next hour break, I'm going to talk to Bob. So Bob, right. That was very interesting. They mentioned this and this because I've been having some challenges with that in my, in my territory. Like, I'm going to play the game. I'm going to move around, but I never try to limit my circle. Now, for one, because I'm playing the game. And I think that's the key thing is to understand I'm playing the game. Like, if we went to something that's social, like, perfect example. If we're at a conference and we're in the classroom or doing whatever we're in, the seminar, whatever the case may be, I'm moving around. After hours, when it's time to release for the day and people going to get a drink, I'm going to sit with at the bar. That's why I'm like, right. Where y'all going? man, I heard they got a club over here. They got this spot over here. So I'm going to be around my people. But at the same time, I'm like, if it's a group event, I'm like, yeah, I'll be back. Let me go holler at Bob again real quick, just to play the game. Because
got to play the game.
None of y'all about to go holler at Bob. So I'm going to be the black friend today. So that's probably the reason Bob thinks I'm his black friend, because I keep walking away from my other friends. But I don't know. It is a very interesting question. If we could just watch how we have to play the game, like especially now, I'm the only black person in the sales division. Only other black person in our group is in logistics. And I do the nod. We chop it up a little bit, but we still haven't made that connection like that. So when I go to our working functions now, I'm on my own. But I still got to play the game, and but it was funny is if you realize when you're one of the only black people, a lot of times people gravitate towards you. If you're approachable, they gravitate towards you as well. Like they want to be in that inner circle. Like maybe it's cool points or a bet or something they got going on. Well, I'm cool with the black guy. Come on, Tavares, man, it's too early to go in. No, dude, like I can't be the drunk or hungover black guy in the meeting tomorrow. You guys blend in. I don't. So
no, that's it right there. It's situational for me. If I know anybody in the room, I think I can give the nod. So, I can be like, I see you over there. I got you. We'll link up at some point throughout this conference or throughout the day at this training. Like Ferg said, we might chop it up at one break or a couple breaks. And then, where y'all going to lunch? Where y'all going after this? Like when we release, where are we going? But while I'm in the meeting, if I know a couple of people or if I'm in the conference, then I can move. Not necessarily just from playing the game. I mean, one, I'm mixed, but on top of that, like Ferg said, I've learned to move in both of those, so I'm comfortable in either one of these situations. But if it's a room that you walk in and you don't know anybody in that room, you're going to look for familiarity. And the first thing that I can be familiar with is that color, like because I automatically assume they come from the diaspora at least, and we have some shared common bonds. So that's just kind of that first thing that you're going to go. And I don't think there's an issue with it, because that's what people look for. They look for familiarity. They look for comfort level. And so you automatically do that. And I think white people do the same, because if you've ever been in sitting down and you're like one of the first people at the conference or at the training, not often that the white people are going to come sit right next to you. Everybody's going to spread out and everything. And then, those seats will kind of start filling in to where they have no choice but to come sit next to you. That's
perfect on a plane, bro. I see that when I fly Southwest all the time for my job. And I be like, damn, these niggas just going to pass this seat up like I got the plague. Like they'll double up just not to sit by the black guy. So it's funny you say that.
Yeah. And the thing is, don't want to call anybody out like they're racist or anything like that. Again, I think it's just nature of looking for familiarity. And so I want to put that disclaimer out there, because I don't want people to feel like we're calling everybody racist. Every white person isn't racist, but it does happen. And maybe, our white listeners out there, make a conscious effort to come sit by us. Be the first person to sit by us, even if there's empty seats. And strike up a conversation. We're approachable. We're nice, but we are the good ones, though. So,
the exceptional Negro strikes again. That's a good point, though. But I have to actually make a conscious effort sometimes, even when because being in sales, you'll walk into these random conferences and rooms and stuff like that, and you just have to be comfortable breaking the ice and being different. Like I'll go to a APIC meeting or something like that, and like I'll go sit at the table that doesn't look like I should be there, just to show that, hey, I'm comfortable being here. Like I'm not going to sit at the table with all the black nurses just because it's like, okay, I'm going to sit over here with Karen. There's a bunch of Karens over there, and but it's interesting. But I have to make a conscious effort. I would be more comfortable going to that other table, but I have to, play the game once again. So good question, bro.
Definitely. And it's like, I was just going to say real quick, white people that hear this may, and Razi, you kind of cleared it up, but they don't have to consciously think about that. They are rarely in a situation to where they have to seek out someone that looks like them. Like maybe on the rare occasion, if you're like Susanna, who attended LaFleur, where it's a predominantly black high school and you're in the minority white people, but that's like rare. Most of the time, white people can go to any function, any meeting, anywhere, any gathering, and it's going to be more them than us. So they never really have to make that conscious effort.
And they usually choose to be there. Like it's something that they're aware of. They know that, I'm going to this NAACP meeting, so I'm probably going to be the only white person there or one of the few. So it's not like you just walk in a room like, shit, ain't no black.
That's funny because that's exactly how we feel.
You scan the room like you're like, oh, and then you size him up like, he ain't about that life. He ain't about that life. Oh, oh yeah. So, and that's how it is. I go to sail up in the happy hours and all that kind of stuff, and I scan the room, and I eventually make my way. And that might be it. I might not start there. I might make my way there, but I gotta work the room to show that I'm diverse. So,
yep, that's the play in the game. So, again, listeners, if you haven't been in these corporate functions and stuff like that before, just know you have to play the game. So, again, give the head nod, give the acknowledgement, but go work the room and make your way to that person later, or link up with them first, but still go and leave and go work the room. Don't hang out in your little black circle the entire conference and not, do anything. And then be wondering why you're not getting promoted and why you're not getting selected for anything. It's because you can't move in the environment that they want you to be able to move in.
Remember, we have to adapt to two worlds. So just keep that in mind. So I'm gonna end the show with a quote, boring question. It's a very boring question and topic, but it's very, very important. So I hope the listeners can appreciate and understand it. And I do feel like you two, really all three of us, but especially you two, are the best suited to answer this question. Now, Ferg, on several occasions, you have mentioned how your credit was bad. And, thanks to the advice of Orazio and you just really, finding your way, you were able to fix it. And you're like at an 800 now. Am I correct?
That is correct.
Yes. And Razio, you have always been someone that has, focused on finance and credit. So what I want to ask you guys today, this is a very unusual question for the show, is I want Ferg to go first. In the best way you can, tell the listeners how you fixed your credit. And Razio, because you're such a financial guru, follow up on him on how to keep good credit. You kind of did this on a very early episode of Politically Entertaining, so you may want to regurgitate some of that. And I'm someone also, like Ferg, you've mentioned it, but I've never really mentioned it. I'm someone that had like a 536 credit score at one time. And now I'm not quite where you're at. I'm like in the 750s. But so I think we all can speak on it. And it's something that's very important, because if the listeners don't know, which everyone should know, you got bad credit, you're paying extra for a lot of different things. Your car, anything you got to borrow money for, you're paying more than the three of us if you got bad credit. So if you will, Ferg, take it. Razi, follow up.
And jobs now are looking at your credit. If you're looking for some real jobs, they're looking at that because they look at your
It's like a trust thing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So actually,
my bank, if you can't pass a credit check, you can't work at a lot of banks.
Yeah. Sales, anything like that. So I was actually on a conference call for the International Youth Leadership Conference for our fraternity, because I'm a mentor. And Regions Bank did a portion. They were talking about credit scores and stuff like that. And one of the last things they mentioned was, I don't know if you guys call it the same thing, is they call it the 4 C's, but they talk about character. And basically your character is your credit score, because as a banking institution, they judge you on your character or your decision making. So that's what character is. Like, it's your credit score is your financial resume. And I think step one to improving your credit is understanding that you have bad credit and focusing on doing something about it. So I was one of those people that I would get bills in the mail, throw it in the trash because I can't pay it or I wasn't worried about it. I got phone calls. I'm dodging calls. Like, you have to acknowledge it. You have to commit to making a change and saying, I got to figure out why the hell they're calling me, how much I really owe. And the worst part of it a lot of times was I made that decision too late. I would call them the month after they've been calling me for 6 months and they were willing to work with me. And now it's hitting my credit report or it's hitting, going into collections or whatever the case may be. Like, I was doing those things too late. So the first thing is to acknowledge it. It's like, hey, I gotta fix it. And I think the second thing was understanding credit, like truly sitting down and understanding what affects your credit, like understanding credit utilization, understanding payment history, understanding not just what the principles are, but what the metrics they use. Because at first I started just understanding the principles, but when I started understanding the metrics, like, I talked to a lot of people about credit, and I use this prime example. And Razi, correct me if I'm wrong, because I use this as my go-to because it's easy for everybody. The scores are not necessarily 100% accurate, but it gives you a basis of what your credit score is, and that's Credit Karma. So anybody can download a Credit Karma app, go to get a Credit Karma account, and they make it very simple. So when I tell people to do that, I'm like, if I said, Byron, if I paid 95% of my bills on time over the last 7 years, what would you think? Does that sound like I'm doing a good job?
Yes.
According to Credit Karma and what I see, that is false. Like, those things stay on your
95 ain't high enough, huh?
95, if you look at their metrics, 95 is not even on the board. Anything under 99 is considered less than good. So, and the thing about it, banks look at usually about a 2-year run rate. So you may miss some payments 4 or 5 years ago. That's one thing. But my last missed payment fell off my credit report in March of 2020 because I missed a payment in March of 2013. It literally just fell off my credit report. Mm-hmm. So understanding, like, hey, 95% of stuff is not good. Like, so understand what their metrics are, what's reporting to the credit bureau, like truly understanding those things and working on those and committing to them. Like, hey, I'm not saying you're going to pay all your bills on time, but hey, this credit card reports every month. This student loan reports every month. Oh, my T-Mobile might not. So it's not reporting to the credit bureau. So if I miss that payment, not telling you to miss a payment, is not as harmful as something reporting. Like, you got to make those choices. You have to understand what's reporting to the credit bureau. And Razi's like, you asked me, like, dog, what's on your credit report? What are the negative things? And I would just, I didn't know. And I'm sitting there looking at stuff when I really made that commitment. I'm like, so I have a $67 bill in collections.
Yeah.
That's killing me. Or I have $120. I owe Comcast $120 because I don't return the box in time. Killing me. And just understanding those things and really attacking it and developing those good habits. Like, Razi will tell you, I'm probably anal about my credit. You got on me about a few weeks ago because I had somebody make a mistake and report some stuff off my credit and it dropped me 40 points. And he's like, what if 40 points dropped you to? I'm like, 769. Like, I was pissed, but I check my credit constantly. I check my credit every week just to make sure there's nothing going on that's going to mess it up because I worked so hard to get there. And I'll tell you, I bought a house 5 years ago. I just got credit good enough to qualify for a house 5 years ago. I was 620 something 5 years ago. Now it's 8s across the board. Once you start developing those good habits and understanding what real credit is and not listening to mom and dad and everybody telling you, oh, just keep your credit card under 30% and you'll be okay. Yeah, that's not bad. That's good. But under 10% is better. 2 to 3% is even best. You know, like those are things they take into consideration. Like just don't listen to the average person. Go and figure it out for yourself. And there's things that'll tell you exactly what you need to do and what the metrics are. Understand the metrics. So
Ferg, your score was that low. What made you even want to do better? Like, why didn't you just say, man, you know, F it, forget it. It is what it is. I don't care.
Because I felt like I deserved better. I feel like I worked so hard. I overcame so many things. And at the end of the day, I would want to go do something. And it was a slap in my face to remind me of all the bad decisions I made. And I committed to making good decisions. So for those that don't know, when I had my 30th birthday was a rude awakening for me. My 30th birthday, Z had just moved up here. I couldn't afford to take her out to buy a drink or anything like that. One of my friends or two of my friends actually took me and her out for my 30th birthday. And I made a pact with myself by the age of 35 that I was going to turn my life completely around when it came to finances. I was going to marry her. I was going to buy a house. There were certain things I had on my agenda. So I was motivated. And so by 35, I had a good job. I was married. She was pregnant with my daughter. I was getting ready to buy. No, I already had my daughter. We were getting ready to buy a house. I was going to take my mom on her first vacate. Like I paid for my mom for a vacation. All these things were on my checklist. Push yourself. Reward yourself for doing those things, people. Getting good credit is not as hard as you think. Like it's understanding those things and work on it. Like I pay my credit card. I'm anal. I pay my credit card 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Because I use my credit card like I use my debit card. Razi used to cuss me out like, dude, you use your debit card for anything. Get your credit card and build your credit. And plus you can eventually get something that gives you reward points. You know, because I'll have a $500 credit card and I'll spend all the money on my debit card and then I'll be paying the minimum balance on my credit card. It's like, dude, just pay it off and use it. Like if you can't buy it with your credit card, then you probably don't need to buy it. If you don't have that money in your account, you probably don't need to buy it. That was what I initially did. Like I get nervous when I see a balance on my card. I pay my car note weekly. Like I don't want to miss any payments. And so like I got addicted to getting my credit better. So that's a little overboard, but it helped me get an 800.
Brother Razi, what you got?
Man, it's a lot to unpack with credit, but I'll try to keep it as simple as possible. The first thing, like Ferg said, is pulling a credit report and knowing where you are, because until you know what the lay of the land is, you can't fix it. Yeah, you know, everybody's like, oh, I got to fix my credit, but like Ferg even said it, they're scared or they just don't want to pull the trigger to actually pull the credit report to see how bad it is. And truthfully, a lot of times, if you pull it, you'll see it's not as bad as you think. And it's, I'm not saying it's cheap to get out of it, but it's, if you are meticulous about it, you can get out of pretty much any situation. It's very, very rare that you're like, oh, and I've had those situations where you'd be like, yeah, bankruptcy might work for you. I'm sorry. Like it might work for you, but you need to be able to look at that credit report and look at your income. First step in maintaining credit is just not overspending. So if you get a lot of people that like, I can't get on auto debit or I'm scared to get on that auto debit because it might overdraw my account. That means that you've overspent. That means that your bills are too much for your monthly, income. And so pull that credit report, take a look at it. I tell everybody the biggest thing is look at those collections. If there's something small on there, go ahead and knock that out. If it's a $30 collection from T-Mobile or something, knock that out, get that off of your credit report, because once you pay it off, the collection's still going to show and bring your credit report down for another year to 2 years. But you need to go ahead and knock that out so that it starts to fall off where they're not even paying attention to it. Like Ferg said about, banks go back about 2 to 3 years and anything before that is not as serious. So that's why you want to try to get that collection paid off and out where nobody's even paying attention. Credit report after 7 years, things drop off. So what I do always tell everybody is look at the credit report. And if you have a collection or something that's 5 years, 6 years old, screw it. Leave it on there and let it fall off. I don't care if it's $10,000, $15,000. You just know that in 2 years or in a year, your credit's going to be great. So again, it's one of those things that don't be like, oh man, I got to pay this $10,000 off. And it from 5 years ago, 6 years ago, man, they just gonna have to keep calling me and trying because I ain't paying that one. So be smart
and
about it.
And don't engage them, because what happens when you engage them?
Yeah, they can reset the clock because they're like, oh yeah, you talk to us, and so they can go in and be like, oh, that we'll start the collection. Like they'll try to, a lot of times, and that's another reason why you need to be pulling your credit report is they'll try to sell the collection. And when they sell it, that new collection agency will try to continue to and try to reset the clock on the 7 years and try to continue to call you. So that's one of the things is if your initial debt was over 7 years ago and it's still on your credit report, you can dispute that and they have to pull it off. Because if you have proof of the initial debt, you can make them pull it off, even if it's been sold and they're trying to extend it. So that's what some of the games they play with trying to keep things on your credit report.
Free game.
As far as payment history goes, that's the other big part of your credit file. 2 years of good payment history where you haven't missed anything is huge. I mean, that'll get you up into the 650, 700s pretty quickly. So again, that's why I always put that 5 year anything that's over 5 years or near 5 years, don't worry about paying it off on the collection side, because what you're looking at is you have a vision or a clear, okay, in 2 years, my credit's going to be good. I'm going to hit that 800 in 2 years. So now you say, all right, if I got anything that's a slow pay or it's behind, you want to try to pay to catch it up, and then set it up on either auto pay, like Ferg said, pay weekly, pay up, do something where that you can make sure that you're paying on time going forward. And then the third one is the credit utilization. That's where Ferg was talking about keeping your credit or your credit card below 30%. Yes, 10% is better. But if you can get under 30, you can get into the 650, 700s. And so, everybody wants that 800 score, but anything over 720 changes nothing. So 720 is really the gold standard. If you hit 720, you're getting the best rates out there. You can go in and get a card without putting a deposit down. You can do all that stuff that anybody who's running a credit. If you want to get an apartment or something, they're not going to make you pay a deposit based on your credit for things. So that's the big thing. So if you can keep it under 30, you should get to the point where you have what we consider good credit. May not be excellent, it might not be the best. To be able to get into the 720s and the 800s, you're going to have to get that utilization down under that 10%, that 20 to 10%, or if you can, just pay it off every month. So that's how credit cards work in it, or debt utilization. A lot of people think that having a lot of loans will lower your credit score, but it won't. Actually, having a lot of loans works, because if you don't have any credit, you actually aren't going to have a good credit score. So people be like, oh, I just use cash. Well, okay, but when you want to go buy a house or a car, you're going to end up with a 600 score or a 550 score because you don't have a credit history for them to look at. So you need loans, you need things. And the credit bureau doesn't know your income. So you can have $10,000 a month in loan payments on your credit. As long as you're making the payments on time every month, your credit score can still be very high. So don't think, oh, if I have a car note and my house note and I'm going to go get another car note and I have a small loan or something, that's too much debt. Because having debt makes sense when we go into investment side of it. So just being debt free actually puts us in a little bit of a disadvantage for being able to actually leverage our money and grow it. So that's part two of your financial thing. But for credit wise, just make sure that you're paying on time, your collections, you knock those out, and don't worry about it, and have a vision of when you want your credit score to hit that excellent point. And then just know that if those collections are going to fall off in the next year or two, don't even worry about paying them off.
And I'm going to leave you with this. When I really started working on my credit, and we kind of bashed the church a few weeks ago, I guess, for some people. I've heard some people say we did that. But the reason I did like the church I went to was a pastor would deliver good messages. One of the things he really focused on was you reap what you sow. And so often we get discouraged because we'll try to make a change, and we assume because we want to make a change that the world's supposed to change with us. So you're trying to get your credit together. You're trying to do all this stuff, and it's like your score just won't go up. You can't get approved for anything. But you're 35, 40 years old, but you made bad credit decisions for 30 years. It's not going to change overnight. You have to realize that you planted those bad seeds of credit, or you sowed those bad seeds of credit for so long. They're going to take root and they're going to grow. So you have to deal with that harvest. You have to deal with that. But now you have to realize you got to start planting those great or good credit habit seeds, and eventually they're going to grow too. And if you don't continue to water and nurture those bad credit habits, it's going to die. And the only thing that's going to be in your harvest is good credit. So it took a while. Like I said, I felt like I was fighting bad credit for so long. And then slowly those things just started falling off. The little collections that I had, and I knew when they were going to fall off, when inquiries were going to fall off. Everything was going to fall off. March 2020, I knew my last missed payment was going to fall off. And after a while, all my bad credit decisions had died. And all I'm reaping is great credit decisions. So don't get discouraged. And that's one thing he would tell us, like, if you do bad for so long, you try to make a change. So many of us get pulled back into the bad habits because we don't start seeing that fruit from good stuff we just planted. So hopefully that wasn't too biblical or too philosophical, whatever the case may be. But I think that's something that discourages a lot of people.
Real quick, Razi, before I get into my answer, what's the website that people can use to check their credit for free? Do you remember?
Annualcreditreport.com.
Okay. .com, because I think there's one that's called .gov, and that's not free. It's just like the one that's .com. So use the one that he said specifically.
Do that. And he used to check on me every year, make sure I did that. So I pull my credit report once a year, but I also kept close to something that I could monitor it for free. Like Credit Karma, because they also give you suggestions. Because I know a lot of people are trying to get everybody's solution to getting better credit is getting credit cards and stuff like that. So it gives you suggestions on credit cards, paying off certain debt, making certain moves. Told me to refinance my car, told me to consolidate my student loans and stuff like that. And those things help me. So there's apps out there to help you freely start improving your credit.
And so, yeah, you can get they actually a part of the Consumer Protection Bureau and the Dodd-Frank. So now any credit card that you have, you can go to their site and they'll give you your credit score free, as well as if you go to like mint.com, Mint's a good budgeting tool you can use, log into there and you can get your credit report from there or your credit score from there as well.
Yeah, and I mention that because even if you have great credit like Ferg and Razi, you still want to check it from time to time because false things can be on there. People steal identities and things all the time and take out stuff in your name. Like my wife has been battling that for years. She constantly gets things that are in her mom's name or in her first name and her mom's last name, even though her last name is Evans now. So she's constantly battling and getting things taken off her credit. So don't just sit back and say, man, I'm good. I pay everything on time. I'm good. No, it can be stuff on there that you didn't even authorize. But similar to Ferg, I had a low credit score and I just didn't give a damn. And I think that's pretty much what Ferg said too. Like I got the first credit card I got in the mail was Discover. And it was like a few months after I turned 18. And I looked at it. It was like $1,000 credit limit, which is a lot of money to me back then. And I was like, wait a minute. So I got $1,000 and all I got to pay is $15 a month. Shit, man. I went and got a camcorder, man. Dog, I balled out with that little card, man. To me, it was like free money, and I didn't give a about any of it. I had so many cards, from gas cards to credit cards, and I just finally said, kind of like Ferg, you just had this epiphany, like, I need to do better. Like, I'm going to eventually want better things. I need to do better. And I used a service that I probably didn't even need looking back on it. I was young. I was in my early 20s. But pretty much all it did was consolidated all the cars I had. I gave them, this company, a certain amount a month, and they dispersed it to the cards. On top of that, I paid them a fee. So all I could have, if I had the discipline, I could have just did that with the credit cards I had and didn't have to pay a fee that I paid this company. I think it was like debt free at the time. I think that's the name of the company. But, you know, I just think it's important to have, like I said, it's a boring question, I'm sure, to some people. But for those of you that are, you know, on that fine line of bad credit, good credit, I feel like it was a great conversation to have. And, you know, for us, we need every leg up we can get, man. We're Black. So if you have great credit, that at least gives you a chance at a lot of things and keeps you from having to pay extra money on a lot of the necessities that we need. So I appreciate you two, you know, just going through detail, everything that's needed to be done to have great credit. And I really hope the listeners got something from this. Like Razi, I said you was on Politically Entertaining and you mentioned a lot of the same stuff. Like Mint.com is something new. The credit card company that you have, like getting a free credit score from them, that's something new. So I hope the listeners got something from it. Apply it, use it. Because if we're talking about, you know, rising up, it's going to take more than protesting and stuff. We're going to have to be financially sound. And if your credit is bad, nobody has to listen to you. You got to do what they say. You know what I'm saying? If you have a great credit, trust me, if you have great credit, you go in there and buy a car, it is such a great feeling if you have a great credit versus bad credit.
They treat you differently too. They be like bringing you water and stuff.
Man.
Hey, so I got Wells Fargo at 3, and I got USAA at this, and B of A, they're giving you 2.8.
Yes,
but you know, so which one do you want to go with? And I mean, it's totally different when you go to that finance director. You're not sweating. Because I remember being there that first time, you know, trying to get a car. You know, sweating like, oh, I hope I get approved.
that is actually the perfect. My idea of good credit growing up was getting approved. It wasn't the rate. That's how I knew my credit was good or bad. If I applied for something and I got approved, my credit was good. I didn't know the score. Didn't need to know the score. And if I didn't, my credit was bad. And all I did was get that letter in the mail telling me that I didn't get approved for whatever reason. They might even have the score on it. I didn't know. I just threw it away. It just became so commonplace. And I just knew that I wouldn't have to I can't get any furniture for another year and a half. So we've all been there, man. We've all been there. Yeah. Just don't get discouraged. Make a commitment to yourself. Because I tell people all the time, good credit is a pay raise. You get, I remember just a few years ago when I started with ADP, I had just bought the Sonata, Haley's new car. And the rate I had on the car, what I was paying for my Sonata was the same rate that one of my coworkers who had excellent credit was paying for her, maybe, I'll say at least 3 Series BMW, brand new. We were paying the exact same thing. I'm paying probably 8-9%, and she's paying brand new, probably 0% on the car. You know, I'm like, and I think that was another thing. Like, man, I gotta get my credit together. I'm over here struggling trying to pay this Sonata note, and she paying the exact same thing for a brand new BMW. Got to get it together.
Yeah, and one more thing I want to throw in there. Byron mentioned, you know, like he consolidated credit cards and everything. I want to just throw out there the idea of what we call snowballing. So I know a lot of people that may have 4, 5, 6 different credit cards, and they're trying to put a little extra on every one of them for some reason. You know, nix that, you pay the minimum payment on every last one of them except for one of them. My advice is always pay it on whatever's the smallest one. So then that one, you can pay it off in maybe 4 or 5 months, and then whatever payment that you had or that you were sending to that credit card, you just roll over to the next smallest one with the minimum that you were paying on that, plus whatever you got freed up from the credit card you paid off. And that's what we call snowballing. So eventually you can get them all paid off instead of you trying to pay every last one of them down just a little bit. So that's another thing that you need to do. And you can do that with anything. It doesn't just have to be credit cards. It can be car notes.
Houses.
It can be anything. But if you're paying extra on a lot of different things, you're wasting your time. Pay extra on and consolidate that extra payment into whatever you think you can pay off the fastest. So that's the other part about trying to pay it down and getting caught up. But again, it's you want to pay everything up to where you're paying on time again. You don't have anything that's 20, 30 days, 90 days late. Once you get everything caught up, pay the minimums on everything, and then you snowball with that one thing that you're trying to pay off.
And keep it going. So now then you'll pay two things off. And that's how I got a lot of things freed up. And so now I consolidate. Now I have multiple credit cards, but only use one. And so the key to the game is discipline. You got to have a plan and then discipline. Like you just really, because what happens is you'll pay that car note off or those credit cards off. And then you want to go buy another car, put something else on a credit card, go buy, a new TV on your Best Buy account or whatever the case may be. And it doesn't help you. If you got bad credit and you just got out of a bad situation, don't put yourself in another bad situation. But I'm done.
Yeah. You should never be putting TVs or anything like that on your credit card. Like you if you're putting it on a credit card, it should be because you want the points and you need to be paying it off at the end of the month. Like those are the things that you don't use credit for.
Unless you get your interest-free account like Best Buy or something, because I'm all about interest free, and especially if you're trying to establish credit and get in.
Time value of money, baby.
Yeah,
you give me money for 6 months. Cool, I'll take it.
Especially people that are trying to build their credit and open new accounts and stuff like that. Those are valuable, especially being new and trying to build your house and all that stuff. Those things can really help out. Interest free Best Buy card or something like that.
Ferg, let's be honest here. Folks that are trying to build their credit aren't getting 6 months interest free.
Oh, I digress.
Listen,
those are good credit problems.
Please make sure you're getting something for your credit card. Like one of the perks of using your credit card instead of your debit card, like for me, is flight miles. Like, I had got up to enough miles to where I could have went to Canes. Is it Canes or Cons? One of them, Canes, France. You know what I'm saying? But, COVID happened, so I'm not leaving the country. But make sure you're just getting some type of points or rewards for your credit card if you can. I see you, Ferg. I see you, big dog. But that's all I wanted to say, man. I just appreciate y'all two weighing in on this. And like I said, I hope the listeners got something from it.
Another great episode, fellas. It was fun, enlightening. I think we didn't get too angry. I don't remember.
I don't think we got angry at all, did we?
Too angry.
Yeah, look at us. Wait, we still got the parting shots. So that's how we did last show.
Speaking of, who wants to take us out? Who's coming up next? What's on your mind?
I could go unless Razi wants to.
I can start us. So I guess when this drops, it'll be the week of Jenica's birthday. So I just want to say, posthumously, but happy birthday, babe. July 25th. So Saturday, the family's coming over. My family's coming up or whatever. We're going to try to enjoy this, but as much as possible and just remember her. So I just wanted to say happy birthday to her, even on the show again. So love you, like always, but that's all I got.
To piggyback on that, those of you who have been rocking with us from day one, if I'm not mistaken, it was the first or second episode where Orazio was in Hawaii with Jenica celebrating her birthday at the time. So we're coming up on a year of doing this. So I want to just echo what he said and happy birthday to Jenica. And, we've talked about it a couple of times on here, what happened, the passing of her, the passing of my mom, COVID, a whole lot of things going on. It's been a lot of bad news this year. I want to give a shout out, and Ferg mentioned this a few episodes ago as well. I want to give a shout out to Melvin Johnson, who we affectionately call Hooley, whose son is finally going home after multiple surgeries, multiple scares. I mean,
5 months in NICU.
Yeah, like at one time, if I'm not mistaken, you guys can correct me, they didn't think he was going to make it. and his son is coming home, man. And like I told him, and like I said on the show, because of so much bad news this year, I love the good news. I love it, man. It makes me feel so good to hear. And so I just want to give a shout out to him, man. Like, I know how happy you are, dude, because I'm happy. So congratulations to you and Pearl. Congratulations to you both on the other big news that you have as well. I don't want to announce it to the whole public because I don't know if y'all are in that space. I'll let you guys do that. But just congratulations to you guys. Thank you for the good news because it's been such a terrible year. One other thing I want to do is tell the state of Alabama, thank you. Thank you so much. As someone who works on Capitol Hill, and the Senate does this thing where they don't have a set time when they adjourn. It's just whenever the last senator wants to speak. And so many times we would be close to getting ready to go home. And Senator Jeff Sessions would come to the floor when everybody was ready to go home and give like a 30 to 45 minute, maybe even an hour speech, pissing the whole Capitol Hill off, even Republicans. This was a bipartisan hatred for his last minute speeches. He ran for his Senate seat again, and by the grace of God, you guys chose Tommy Tuberville, which I'm sure is a piece of trash because I've seen some of his commercials as well. But because he's going to be a freshman senator, it's going to be a while before he's able to give a whole bunch of speeches on the Senate floor. So I just want to thank the state of Alabama. Thank you so much. We don't have to deal with the late night Jeff Sessions speeches. And if you don't work on Capitol Hill, that means nothing to you. But those of you who do work on Capitol Hill that are listening to this, you are nodding your head right now. Yes, you are. Yes, you are. Even if you're a conservative, you are nodding your head because you were there when you were ready to go home and he came off the elevator and we all collectively said, God damn, come on. That's all I got.
You're a hard act to follow, sir. So I'm gonna call my little few words a double dose of Hooli. So first of all, picking up where you left off, Byron, I'm so happy for my cousin Melvin and his beautiful better half Pearl. They're bringing one half of the deadly duo of Brandon and Bryce home. Brandon is at home as we speak, and Bryce hopefully will be home with them in a few weeks. So congratulations. I'm so happy for you. That really was some of the best news I've heard in a while. And speaking of Hooli, I'm going to talk about my other cousin Hooli, better known as Tremaine. We talked about him a couple of episodes ago. Was kind of the guy that kept me on the straight and narrow and helped me avoid a lot of turmoil when I was young and probably headed down the wrong path. He started listening to the show a few days ago, and he left us a message on our group page. And I mean, just hearing his voice, I haven't talked to him in years, hearing his voice and the excitement and the admiration he had for what we do on the show. And he was still just in the beginning. So hopefully he loves it even more because I feel like we got better with time. But just to hear him speak so highly and passionate about the show really touched my heart. So that was the other Hooli. So to my Hoolies, double shot Hooli today. I think I might have some Don Julio downstairs, so I might do a double shot just for you guys. Really meant a lot to me. So I'm happy for both of you. Happy that one's bringing somebody home and the other one's just doing okay and it's in a good space. Once again, this is Three Brothers No Sense. Signing off. Listen, like, share, subscribe, comment, and most importantly,
listen again.
Yeah.